Dig a little deeper, see a little clearer. Learn from the people who've been there before. Real stories, real experience, real insight. This is Ace Quiz Wiz Masterclass.
Welcome, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're based out of. This is episode 2 of AI Explained, the in AI influenced masterclass. I mean, there are a couple of ways to call it, but I'm very lucky to have Kiara here today. Kiara, welcome to QuizBiz.
Thanks, Ajit. Yeah, really nice to be here. Yep.
Wow. There are only a few times Rob says this, so I would highlight this because, like, just like coming from him, it's like Rodney coming into somebody and like appreciating their workflows. That's what
Oh,
Rob is for voice for me. I've just degraded his technical know-how to just him being a nice audio person. But
yeah.
yes,
I like the way the community just supports each other in everything. So that's good.
yeah, definitely 100%. It's one of my favorite things as well. But very excited for today's session. Thank you everybody who is joining. We'll take a couple of minutes. We'll get to know Kiara a little bit more because I think this is the first time you're joining a quiz viz event.
It is actually, yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, Kiara? I know you're a community champion. I know you work for Epicode. Something else.
Yeah. So I'm originally from Ireland and I'm now living in Sweden for the last 8 years. So I live in Sweden, south of Sweden, with wife, kid, and a dog and 3 cats out in the countryside. Yeah, in my spare time now, the weather's good. It's a lot of gardening and walking, and yeah, like going to the beach and the forest and stuff like that.
Nice. That's awesome. That's awesome. This none of that here. I'm in Delhi, so it's
Yeah.
it's around touching 40 degrees Celsius. The
Oh.
weather is horrible.
Mm.
It's been rainy, but it hasn't rained, and that has turned into
Uh,
a gloominess of its own kind for the last couple of days.
uh,
It just yeah.
we
Any
hit
of my friends? Sorry, go
uh,
ahead.
we hit 32 at the weekend, and I think half Sweden just passed out.
I think 2 or 3 weeks back, it touched somewhere around 45. But
Oh,
like you
that's
know how
uncomfortable.
in on your weather app you can see feels like, so
Mm.
it was 43 or 44 and said feels like 48. I was like, yep, it definitely feels like 48.
Mm. No,
But
that's uncomfortable. Mm.
yeah, it is. It is. Just hoping it rains. The problem
Yeah,
is when it will rain, it will just rain cats and dogs. So that's a
yeah, just
different problem.
warm rain, right? Mm. Yeah,
Yeah. But none of that here today. We are here to talk about AI. So, this series, for folks who are just joining, is specifically tuned to people who may or may be from the non tech background. But if you're from tech, I'm sure there's a lot for you to learn here as well. We started this with the first episode with Val. Where we talked about some of the key terms about what AI is, what MCP is, what RAG does, what agents is, what are LLMs. And in that series, we are going to talk a little bit more about prompting today. So we have Kiara, and of course, I'm going to share my screen, and we are going into the Mentimeter. So you'll be able to join our slides as well. There would be voting, there would be questions for you, and we'll learn a little bit more about prompting, how to take advantage of it. What are some of the things that you should look out for, and what are the things that may be overhyped? So
yeah.
that's the conversation topic. Yara, anything that you would want to tell us or tell people before we begin?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's prompting is a skill, right? So it's not something you just learn once off and you're done. It's something you just keep on doing better and better, and your skill just compounds over time. So never feel bad if you get a bad answer. Just keep on trying.
Nice. All right, that was the whole session. We can just end the
Yeah,
thing.
we're done now.
That's basically what we are going to talk about for the next 40 minutes. Awesome. All right. So you can join our stream Menti as well. So if you want, if you're joining us from a desktop, you can scan this QR code and join our Menti stream, and then you'll be able to, contribute to the questions and comments that Kiara and I would have for you today. But if you can't, that's okay as well, because it's just an idea for all of you to contribute and voice out your opinion when we ask about some questions. You can use chat. Feel free to use chat. Good morning, everybody who's just joining us in the chat. Uh, if you have any questions, specific questions, please feel free to write that in the chat, or you can use Menti for that as well. All right, let's begin with the very simple question. Which of these have you tried? I'll ask you, Kiara. Have you done any of these things? Bought a prompt course, used Act as an expert, uh, used Take a Deep Breath and then give this response, or copied a prompt from somewhere?
Uh, I think one of the best things I did actually recently was I copied a LinkedIn prompt that I saw. I use
Oh,
a
nice.
Granola AI, and one of it was do an assessment on your interactions with customers or whatever it is, and it'll actually do an assessment of how you sound, the way you talk, and give you improvements. So it was one of the best
Hmm,
prompts I saw in a long time. Very
nice,
simple, and it gave really good feedback. So actually
nice,
learned a few things about myself that maybe I just didn't know I was doing. A lot of ums
nice.
and ahs, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really nice. I liked it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm glad nobody has clicked on bought a prompt course yet, because I don't know what, like, there's enough free resources for all of you, at least for this. I mean, buy courses which will help you in different manners, but like I don't think you need to buy a prompt. That's what I feel. Like we might be a little biased because we might have been using it for a while, but yeah.
Yeah, there's so much out there for free. I think buying should be maybe the last port of call these days for a lot of things. So
Yeah. I like answers. Their CEO built a prompt library, so I have a Rolodex of prompts I want to keep track of.
um, if they give
Nice.
you good answers, it's good to keep them, but they need to be
Nice.
updated every now and
So,
again, I guess.
Mary, are you Anne's boss? Because that's what I'm seeing. Mary created one, and Anne says her boss created one. But nice. That's good. It's nice to see that some of you have already, leveraged some of these features. But we'll talk more about, if in today's day and age. So like AI has come a long way, right? Like, and it has come this long way in a very short amount of time. I remember a couple of months ago, we were just playing around with image generation and just random images. Now the kind of support, even in the project management tools that we use, or how it has embedded itself in our lives, is just crazy. I feel like rather than having any specific tricks or way in which you can find a shortcut to get a better prompt or get a response, like I was telling Val on the first episode, that one of the things that really worked for me was asking GPT what prompt should I write.
Oh,
If
very
I
meta.
had, let's say, yeah, if I had to say research something, I would say, hey, give me a prompt for this, not do the action itself. And that worked really well. So I think that's also something, right? Like as AI is becoming better and like understanding the human context in much more, it's scary, but it's also a little easier, because now we have to do on our part more thinking and frame better questions when we are giving prompts to the AI itself. What do you think, Kiara?
Yeah, definitely. You can't just you can no longer just say, "Oh, give me a project update." You really have to
Yeah.
be specific. Who's the audience? What tone am I looking
Yes.
for? What date frame? You really need to just give better context into that prompt. Otherwise, you're just going to get the same generic stuff out again. So
Nice. Arlene brings a brilliant point. Do you feel that you are cheating sometimes? Like you handing off your work to someone else? I'll give you a perfect example. 45 minutes ago, I was on a quick call, one of those quick calls. And I was just talking to somebody who said, hey, we are going to do this conversation with some customers, and they're first time users. What if we had like a jumping off point questionnaire? as they were speaking, I typed it into Rovo. Rovo gave me what I wanted. I showed it, and they were, I'm like, yeah, let's use this. And they're like, yeah, yeah, brilliant. And I felt so proud. But then I know what exactly you're saying, Alim, because I felt like I didn't do this. I just asked Rovo to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, it's tough, right? Like you don't want to just offset all your work to the AI, right? So, but the cheating question gets more useful. Like if we treat the AI like more like a ghost, not like a ghostwriter, but more like a thinking partner. So the original
Mm,
thought comes from you, and you just help you get the AI to help you get it a bit better. And
yeah.
so because the real test is still whether I review or shape or stand behind the object that I'm actually giving to someone.
Hmm. Rob says, like, the idea is to get the work done, no matter how you do it, though. But like, I mean, there are costs. I think that's more philosophical. If we start getting behind, when we are asking these questions to AI to get the job done. But yeah, I mean, it does get the job done faster, and it is us who's giving that prompt in the beginning. That's true.
Yeah, I guess if you just start the job and give everything to AI and not bother reading anything afterwards, then that
Hmm.
gets into the cheating part of it. You really have to see what the AI is actually giving back to you. Otherwise, you're just too reliant on it.
Yeah, this again, I agree on the too reliant part, because what
Mm.
Rosanna also says that in the chat, like she uses it to help, but check everything
Yeah,
before publishing a document, because that is the key. I think I do spend a lot of time reviewing what it does rather than doing it.
yeah,
I would have probably done it, it would have been faster, but what it helps is the third time I have to do a task, it's much quicker, and I have
yeah,
much less time spent on reviews as well.
yeah. Exactly. If you think about it, a long time ago, everyone did mental maths and math on a
Yeah,
paper. Then we got calculators, and
yeah,
people
true.
have always used tools to do things faster, and this is just
Nice.
our new version of it, I guess.
Nice. You just made all of us feel much better, Kiara. Like the calculator example. All right. But yeah, do you agree with this? So this is something that I feel, right? Like I feel better framing is better than better wording. If you give more context, it's easier than using act as an expert, act as a consultant. But like prompt engineering, like was one of the most seen ads on YouTube is what I would say. Like every time I would have my one of my accounts open on YouTube, this would be like an ad that would be playing in one of the videos. But like it has gone down tremendously, because I think people are getting used to asking better questions, and in that manner, it's becoming a little more easier day by day.
Yeah, and I'd even beg to differ that the term is slightly dying out, right? The skill didn't really exist in the way that we thought about it, I guess. Like if you think
Sure.
about Andrej Karpathy, the guy who built the Tesla AI, said, before, stop calling it prompt engineering, call it context engineering. And I think with that
Mm,
switch in your brain, the magic was never in the wording; it's in what you feed into the model. Um,
yeah.
so,
Yeah, I really like this comment that Jonah said. Sometimes feels like checking the output takes longer. Also feels that in in some long exchanges, you start picking up contradictions and hallucinations. Yeah, that's so true.
yeah, I had a customer the other day. We had a class about prompting, and we're on about the context window, and when to start a new chat. And we said if one topic is one chat, interactions with Rovo cost the same no matter how many chats open you have.
Sure,
So if the context is getting a little bit fuzzy and the answers are getting fuzzy, the answers are slightly hallucinating, or it's starting to guess too much or bringing stuff in
sure.
that you wouldn't, then it's time to start a new chat. And
Mm.
if you're starting to think that, then I think sometimes it's too late. You should have started it a long time ago.
Makes sense.
Mm.
Okay, let's do a quick demo. So the next question is, write a prompt to help AI draft an email to your CEO asking for more budget. So you can on Mentimeter or here in the chat, just write a prompt that you would give to an AI to help draft an email to your CEO asking for more budget. I ask you the same question, Kiara. What do you think?
Oh, I think I'd have to have a little bit more information, right? So I need to know, uh, what is the budget for? How much am I asking for? I'm asking for the CEO, or who's my boss is going to read it, but who are they going to bring it to? And
Mm,
what are they caring about? What is the value back for them? So with all that context around it, then I think we can write a little bit better prompt.
that's perfect. Yeah. We'll wait for more people to write in, but as you write, that's exactly what I wanted to bring with this question is, uh, why do you need more budget? How much is the budget needed? What happens if you don't get it? So the person who's getting that email, what happens? Why does this matter to the CEO? What's your relationship in the example? Right? What is the political context of you not getting the budget? So when you put those questions and like okay, somebody says I want my boss to give me more budget, what might be good arguments for that? That's a good question to ask the chat itself. You can ask GPT to write it, but like definitely would recommend more context around it, so you're able to respond in a manner that, see, again, the goal I feel at times is to iterate rather than have the perfect answer, right? So you can ask a question, then give more context and give more context until you get it. Until, and that context is where, it becomes more and more real. All right. Similar lines. Which prompt do you think will produce the best result? I feel rather than answering that question, these questions might be a little better. Research AI agents and explain what they are, how they work. Research AI agents in depth include current trends, act as an AI industry analyst with 20 years of experience. Or again, you think this is not enough context and there should be more context to it when we are writing that email. What do you think, Kiara?
Oh, yeah, it's hard. I guess depending on my out what I actually want out of it. Yeah, I think I'm going to go for that one as well. The help me evaluate whether AI agents are relevant.
Nice, because it gives more context around what the output is supposed to look like, right?
Mm, exactly.
Sure. Okay, some people are giving answers. Let's click on show trends. Let's see. Oh, that's a fancy graph. I didn't know Mentimeter did that. That's good to know. Okay, three separate answers have been selected. Okay, let's see if there are any more individuals who are voting on this. Otherwise, we'll just move on to the next section where we'll talk a little bit more about why this question may have been a little red herring. I'll be very honest, and the like you can't be sure which will give you the best. I mean, yes, you could choose and some of them will be better, because again, we, like the previous question, like the email to the boss question, it's not very clear that who is doing the research, why is the research being done, for what decision the research is being done, and under what constraint. So one constraint you could agree was like the third option or the fourth option, which said, oh, it's for a 500-person IT consulting company. That's a constraint that you are giving AI, so that it doesn't give you an answer for a startup, let's say, for example, right? In that manner, it becomes a little more deeper, but you definitely would want to know more about it. And this I think is what a perfect prompt looks like. If you're asking a question, make sure you're giving it context, give it assumptions, give it constraints, tell it about the trade-offs. Then if you are asking for a decision, and then you get your output. And now the best part is some of these can be direct. Like for example, it can be in one prompt. You can ask GPT to use this model and give you a prompt, or you can in conversation give you more prompt. What I have seen in my interactions with all the models, like I wouldn't even name them, is that it keeps trying to improve on its response rather than create a new response. And that sometimes I feel like isn't a better, like what you said about the new chat, right, Kiara? So if I give, create, do an AI research for me, so it will give me some response. Then I say, oh, this is for a 500% company being done by senior associate to be presented by CTO. It'll improve that response, but will not think from that context and get me that response.
Yeah. Yeah, I think learning when to actually spot when you need to rewrite the prompt is
Hmm.
a good skill to learn, right? Adding better context or just even breaking up the task into smaller steps. If you think you want something huge, think about those sequential steps in between, and make sure then the output in the middle is what you
Mhm.
want, and then you can go further. Instead of writing this really nice prompt, you've got everything in there that you think you need, and then I don't know, the thinking just goes wrong in the middle, and you get something you're like, I didn't. That's not what I wanted. So I really like
Yeah.
breaking it up into steps as well, because um, you know one people think, or some one thing people kind of miss is that a weak result comes from the bad prompt, but it can also come from giving the model the task that wasn't very clear, and then letting the model just guess in the middles. So
Hmm.
making sure that you can see the thinking as well really helps.
Have you had better or similar kind of responses from different models on tasks?
Yeah, I guess my favorite one is when you just put in the sky is and then hit enter, and they all answer the same, except Rovo now adds a little extra bit on the end. But I don't know if you've ever tested it.
No,
It's just
not with
a
that
really
prompt.
quick thing to do with people, just to show them, that it's just predictive
Sure.
AI. They're just
Yeah.
assuming that your next line word is going to be blue. Um, but I use, yeah, probably too many different AIs, but I use Rovo obviously quite a lot, because that's where I'm working. And I think if I'm working outside of the Atlassian ecosystem, then I might use Claude. So I don't really use the prompts for different, using a same prompt in different ones, but I use them for different tasks. So
Hmm. Mary has this amazing idea again. It says, "Ask me questions so I know you are clear on what I am asking."
yes,
That's
that's
that's a
brilliant.
great
Yeah.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I always say, because I always say, please ask me one by one until you're satisfied with
Yeah.
what you're understanding, and then
Sure.
then it makes me think as well, right? Because you might say, oh, I might have missed this part of it, maybe and then between us, between me and the AI, we're getting there. So it's a nice way to do that. I always say one by one as well, because otherwise they give you a wall of questions, and then
Yeah.
you're trying to answer them all and remember them. But yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I agree, Aline. Uh, Best of luck for your AI hackathon, Justin. Hopefully, some of this will help you. We'll see. I mean, share the prize money with me and Kiara. Let's do
Yeah,
it.
sounds good.
Maybe we'll like Team EU. The pizza party will be sponsored by Justin if he wins. Susan asked this amazing question. She says, "Are we trying to include all these components in the first context with the AI, or use it to build through the question component and the AI response?" What do you think, Kiara?
Yeah, I think more that if you think through the process of these different things and think which are the ones that actually you need to have in there. So when you write your first prompt, sometimes you just write and hit send, right? I think take the deep breath and reread it and go through these different elements and say, right, do I need to add something in here that'll make my
Hmm.
answer better? But yeah,
Hmm. Makes sense. So personally, for me, like I think it depends on what I am working on as well. And I've noticed that, like, if it's a generic personal question, personal life related thing that I'm searching, like where to go on vacations or
yeah,
something like that, rather than just doing a normal Google search on, I would be iterative in my response. But if it's a work related question and I'm asking to get some serious response, I would probably frame my prompt first with a couple of iterations rather than asking AI to do anything, and then put that as a final, you know, uh, prompt to get me the answer rather than giving it multiple. Because what I have personally seen is it just keeps getting improved, like the answer improves, and that's good. But sometimes I don't want it to think in that direction. I want a reset on the parameters, and like those are, let's say for example, a very strict parameters for a customer who can't go on cloud. I don't want you to iterate and keep telling me why cloud is better. Just
Yeah.
don't talk about cloud, something like that. So those restrictions and parameters work really well in that kind of a scenario.
Yeah, I think it would be good to actually take a, do a little assessment and say, whether we see the best results coming from the better prompts, or is it
Hmm.
from better conversations with the models.
Yes.
It would be good to if do the comparison over time, I guess.
And do you have like a pick of models for a specific task? Like the last episode, we tried a similar prompt, like what you mentioned about the sky. You know how it is the sky. We did that for what should I do as an Atlassian consultant, and we asked Gemini, uh, GPT, ChatGPT, and Claude, and had different responses. People felt differently about that as well. Do you have any of those, like for generic conversations you have this like an all purpose GPT, or for cloud something specific, or robo for something specific?
Yeah, for most of my work, I use Rovo only because it has the teamwork graph. It has all our
Yeah.
obviously the company knowledge there and easily read. And then for things like if I'm coding and stuff like this, I'll go to Claude. And then I probably won't pick the most expensive model, only because saving those tokens. But I like to sometimes think, especially if you use a model that isn't as good, then I would just kind of say, oh, maybe I can get a better answer or from a different model. So I'll test it again
Makes sense.
with the same prompt, just different model, and then there is a difference. And you can see the thinking even behind it, that it is definitely thinking like horizontally and vertically more. So
Hmm.
it's nice to be able to choose as well, right? You're not just stuck
Yeah,
with one as well. So
that's nice. uh, Awesome question. Jalva, looking for a demo for robo, this is the perfect place to ask on a Atlassian community stream, but there are many creators who would be very happy to do this.
yeah,
uh,
so contact me
Please
afterwards.
nominate
Feel
yourself.
free to do
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please, if you're here, Rob or any of other creators from the community, uh, nominate, work with Agile Wow. Let's get Robo out to more Agile community members. Or reach out to me on LinkedIn on offline. I can help you out. All right, let's talk about anti patterns. Prompt tricks sometimes explicitly, model behavior, but again, that's what we are trying to do, right? Give more clear objectives, give better context, explicit constraints, and have more or less more human judgment around it. Because if you put in garbage, you will get garbage out. It's kind of like, if you put ambiguous information, you'll get hallucination. Very clear. I mean, it'll try to it has become better, I would say. I don't know if you've noticed that, Kiara, but like earlier, if I would give a very ambiguous prompt, it would give a very ambiguous result. Now it's getting better. It'll start asking me questions. It's probably more so because of my profile, like, over a period of time, it has seen what
Yeah.
kind of responses I approve of. But like, it has definitely come a long way in that way.
Yeah, definitely. The whole think harder prompt is definitely just gone away. The
Hmm.
models have gotten better, that they don't have to guess as much as before. But back on the garbage in, this is all based on your knowledge base, right? So if you have Confluence or whatever it is that is full of duplication, really old stuff, it's just going to read that and just highlight your really bad data very
Yeah.
quickly. So it's not just the prompting; it's a lot more before that actually helps it as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Like in some of the AI tools, now I'm talking beyond GPT, Gemini, and Robo. Like for example, if you use, let's say, Dia. Have you used Dia, by the way, Kiara?
I haven't actually. I have Arc
Okay.
is what I have. Yeah.
Sure. So, like, one thing that DR does is like something called a daily brief. Like,
Yeah.
it'll look at your conversations. So, the other day, I was speaking to Rob, and I told him, "Hey, I'll do this. We do a weekend live stream called Asking for Trouble," and something that I told him, "Hey, I'll do this." And next morning, I forgot about it, and Dia was shaming me into it. Hey, you said you'll do this. You've not done it yet. It's like,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not there that I can take this from AI yet.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
just
the
have to
boss you
like
don't
set
want,
it.
right?
No, yeah, I'll just have to set its tone a little polite, like, hey, can you please do this? And like, yeah, that's better.
I'm sure you could say, please be nice to,
Yeah,
please
please
and
be
thank
nice
you.
to, yeah, right. But okay, let's look at the next one. Which of these prompt techniques most likely improves AI output? You are the world's leading expert. Take a deep breath. I like this one. I'll buy your pro version if you give me a good response. I've said this. I've literally said this to a model, and I ended up buying it as well. That's the funny thing. It was not GPT or Gemini. It was a different model that I was playing with. But yeah,
Did they
uh,
put the model through medpic training, or they were able to sell you that through?
yeah, possibly. But like like I put the comment as a joke. It did do what I was asking it to do. So it was a video generation tool that I was testing, playing around with. But like it was really well. But yeah, all of you, you've listened for the last 31 minutes carefully, and yes, that's the correct answer. Providing the relevant context, constraints, goals, and success criteria is the keyword, because for model frontier models like GPT class 5, Cloud 4, Gemini 2.5, act as an expert does not make the model smarter. What it does is it influences the tone. So if it writing in a consultant manner, it'll change the tone. It'll give you a little more, like, give answers from the viewpoint of a product manager or a scrum master. Both the answers would be very different, right? The structure of it, or like vocabulary is again something, like for example, uh, ask something in the medical terminology, right? Don't give your blood test report to GPT and ask to get a response. But like, if you generically ask something and you ask, hey, you can use more uh, medical industry vocabulary, it will do that. And what it doesn't do is increase factual, because it's still looking at the exact same data. It's still process. It's still predicting your next word, and in that manner working.
Yeah. Because I guess the act as the expert, it's not really useless. Maybe like we should change it a little bit. There
Yes.
was some research a while back. I think it was USC. They tested over 160 different roles across a lot of different questions, and there was no real accuracy gain. And in some cases, I think the accuracy actually dropped a little bit. But
Hmm.
what's more important, I guess, is the tone and structure, as you said, vocabulary and perspective is the most important. Instead of saying, act like a orthopedic doctor,
Yeah.
orthopedic surgeon, but you want it more from that perspective. They're gonna say, or if I say write like a consultant, do I get consultant formatting? Like, how do they know what a consultant actually does? But
Hmm.
it is useful in a way, but I think changing it to the perspective side of it rather than just act like the
Yeah.
expert. Yeah.
Exactly. That makes sense. All right. So, what actually helps? Let's talk a little bit. Now, some of these are just answers that I personally use. So, I put it. So, I would love to hear what you think. What actually helps when you're prompting? So, yes, context, but like actionable advice. Let's talk a little bit about what works. So this works brilliantly for me. I rant in front of AI sometimes rather than typing, because when I would type one or two sentences, but I would hit the mic and just speak for 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds, and it'll give you that, like, if what will confuse an honest person is something that is helpful for an AI, and that's what I've seen.
Yeah, exactly. When you talk, you get more like the emotions, your feelings, priorities, relationships, whatever things that you don't actually type in, and you'd never write. I'm frustrated because my team is I don't know, not performing better, and I want to
Yeah,
look and I don't want to look bad in front of my leadership. But you'll say that out loud. You won't write that to the AI, and that context is what the AI needs to actually produce something more real for you instead of very
yeah.
generic stuff.
100%. One funny thing is, it'll always, like, if you rant like this, know that the first sentence will be AI trying to console you. So don't read too much into it, but it will happen when you start like that. Oh, it's I feel bad, or I, like, it's sad that you're feeling like this, maybe you should help, and then it will start giving you important information that you actually want. But like personally for me, ranting helps a lot. Like sometimes I'm in I'm driving alone and I'm thinking about something, and I would just turn the AI on my phone and just have a conversation. And the good thing is, after I'm home, I can open my work laptop and I see everything in the history typed out. So that's
Yeah,
much easier always.
nice. I'm not really the voice notes one, but I like the Rovo audio briefing in
Yeah,
Confluence. I do it a lot if I have let's say I'm doing a speech and I write out my speech notes and I just leave it play, let's say on in the drive into work or something, just so I can hear it back, and just concretes things into my head a bit more. So I like that. So I'm on
nice.
the reciprocating end of the voice notes.
All right. Attaching the source material. So this is also something that has worked really well for me. Rather than saying that, hey, at this point, you should do this, I either give the links exactly or give, like, for example, if I'm asking to write a release note, I would show it like where some of the older screen release notes are. uh, Specifically if you're talking about in the Atlassian ecosystem, you can just point it to the Confluence page as well. If you're not in the Atlassian ecosystem and you're asking it to do something different, you can give screenshots. And again, it really helps if you, rather than telling what the source is, show it what the source is.
Yes. Yeah, and that's like context engineering and kind of the purest form, shall we say. We're not describing what we want, we're just showing
Yes.
what good looks like. I know some
Yes.
examples of the previous work is going to beat you trying to explain it in 3 sentences. So if you've got, the 30 seconds, 60 seconds, don't spend it writing a better prompt, spend it finding the example of what is done well and then
Right.
putting that into the context window.
Nice. Nice. All right. Let's again. We're just coming closer to time, but like I hope we can finish all of this. This is the next one. Defining the success criteria. Instead of writing a meeting summary, say a good meeting summary which can fit into a Slack message and not overwhelm my team. Something like this.
Yeah.
So when you define that success criteria, why that purpose is, or why are you trying to write that? Like one of the earliest memories of me using AI was I was working with a customer who had a Japanese counterpart, and I asked it to do reference checks so I don't. So I try to be funny sometimes in my emails. It's like none of my humor is insulting a culture that I don't know much about. So that was really helpful because I was making a Back to the Future joke which was not translating well.
Yeah.
So yeah, lucky that was my one of the earliest usages of AI to vet my email that I was sending out, and that has really helped. So telling what's the purpose for and what I want it to do has really helped. What do you think?
Yeah. I like that as well. It's you give it a prompt and all of a sudden you get 3 reams of paper and you're like, I only needed 3 sentences.
Yeah,
AI thought way too hard.
yeah,
So, and giving that context about saying, all right, I just need 3 lines. It takes a lot less time as well, right?
yeah.
So,
If any Indian friends are here or anybody from the engineering degree, you would know how we would give exams. There are different marks question. So like mention whether it's a 2 mark question, that's the content that you should write. As a 10 mark question. Using that analogy, it would definitely help. What's the response that you're getting? Okay, let's move on. Again, we've talked about this, but like couldn't in put more focus on it. Iterate. uh, don't accept the first output.
yes.
Tell it more context, give it more review, challenge. Are you sure this data point that you've given me is correct? So many times Rovo, Gemini, GPT, Claude, all of them have backed, oh, I'm sorry, you're right, and this is not
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, that's scary. It's I think it was if I'm not mistaken, it was something like 65% of LLMs don't actually see their own blind spots, and that's why you end up
Yeah.
with that, oh, I'm sorry, and then try again. And that fix is very simple. You just don't accept the first output,
Yeah.
make sure to read it and try to say, think about, what's wrong with that answer, and thinking maybe, what did it assume that you didn't tell the AI, or start a fresh conversation, and critique the previous output as well. Treat it
Yes.
like another colleague. Maybe you could use two different AIs and actually finally get a good answer between the three of you.
Hmm. I've not done that. I did do, like, when I started realizing how you could, on one model, play with different versions of the model. And I was not sure, like, how is GPT-5 better than 4.5? So I would give both of them the same prompt to see what the output looks like.
Yeah.
I've done that, but, like, yeah, that's also a good idea to just take the answer, initiate a fresh chat, and ask it to critique itself. Good point. All right. Yeah, I think those are the main ones. If you have any comments, please let us know. Oh, Stuart is here. Stuart says asking it in the chat is the best way to achieve an output or a solution, especially helpful with Cloud. Thank you, Stuart. Anne says I've used Cloud to back up Row and vice versa. What do you mean? Oh, backstop. Okay. I thought backup Robo and vice versa. Now that would be funny.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
think.
sorry, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. Yeah, at the moment when you're creating let's say a Rovo agent, and you get a wrong output, you can ask Rovo, I'm getting this output, but it's wrong, or I expected something else, and then you can say, right, what should I add into your instructions to make you better, and it'll give you a nice little paragraph, whatever. And at the moment, we're just pasting that in and updating the instructions, but soon it'll be self-updating, so we can just have an interaction with the Rovo agent, and then it'll update its own instructions to actually make it better, which sounds very meta, and a little bit scary that you're like leaving it out of
Sure.
control. But yeah, it's
For people who
it's
are
happening.
here who might not know what Robo is Atlassian's AI offering. It is, think of GPT but for project management tools, specifically within the Atlassian ecosystem. It talks to tools outside as well, like it can talk to Figma, Canva, and a bunch of other connectors that you can build over time. But its inherent purpose is to help people using Atlassian products to perform better rather than going out from the ecosystem.
Yeah, I just set up the Claude for Jira agent today. Really fun playing around with that this morning. So
Nice.
yeah.
I installed it. I've not played around with it. It was the most unique thing that I did not think was that it would be a marketplace add-on
Yes, me too.
from
That really,
Atlassian.
I was like, what? How? Why isn't this working?
What exactly,
Yeah.
right? Like somebody who's been in the ecosystem, like if you're not from the ecosystem, you might not get it. But like who's from the ecosystem, like why did it have to be a marketplace add-on and
Mm.
not a feature that I could just call or some other way?
Yeah.
But like, yeah.
Mm. But
All
yeah,
right.
I
So,
guess.
key takeaways: AI isn't magic. Yes, provide context, not just instruction. Ask questions, or ask AI to ask questions, as we've seen in the chat as well. Use perspective, not personas. Define success criteria, and think of AI as your thinking partner rather than asking it to do your job. So, rather than your intern, you can think of it as your intern. You would not use your intern's response to submit to a customer, right?
Mm.
Uh, unless your intern is super smart, like you know some very super smart interns. But think of it as a thinking partner. Brainstorm, critique, ask questions. uh, so many people have been I was reading a article the other day which said the amount of conversations GPT is having with Gen Z, which is
Oh.
non-work related, which is like it. People are thinking of using Gen Z as their replacement therapist, replacement,
Mm.
partner. AI is just going crazy.
Yeah, they're saying, that junior developers will no longer be needed, or not needed as many. And you think about it, they're the ones that are probably using AI more, so they're more AI friendly and able to probably use it better than some of maybe us dinosaurs.
Sure.
So it's just a change in the way of we're thinking, right? Um,
Yeah.
but I guess
Rosanna
yeah.
says, sorry, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. Yeah, no, just like one like key thing that we were talking about there is, um, the AI is no longer is not the bottleneck, right? So we are, and I mean that in a very empowering way. So it means that we have the leverage, right? So we have better thinking and better context, better judgment, and that's our skill. So unlike some tricks that you've learned on LinkedIn or whatever, that can compound over the career. So your critical thinking actually helps the AI get better, and get a better output. So
That's a good point. Just re-showing what Rosanna was saying. There's a difference in expertise from the person interacting with AI. This person accepts the first answer. I will doubt about his or her expertise. No questioning the answer is dangerous. Yeah. Sometimes, yeah, dangerous, borderlining dangerous for sure.
mm. Or you get the person who asks a question, they get a bad answer, and then they go, no, that's not for me.
Nice. Sachin Pawar says AI traditional chat versus the loop is bigger than your opinion. Interesting. Shwatu says Dave Burrs advocates the create structure method for crafting effective AI prompts. Character request example adjustment. Yes, another type of what we were discussing. Perfect, Shwatu. You just hit it on the head. And says I work with baby devs. They don't have the perspective to evaluate output to the same level. My question is how we grow the ability in a world where juniors use AI so much. Ooh, that's a big question, Kara. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a tough one. We've had this conversation many times internally, and the yeah, mid and junior levels are getting getting smaller. The knowledge in there, and then the seniors are up here, so it just takes longer to get there. Um, but using AI is going to let the junior developers actually get a little bit up to speed quicker, and leave the senior developers work harder, because they don't not going to get annoyed by the junior developers poking them on the shoulder every few minutes. Oh, what's this? What's that? So I think
Sure.
it's just we're going to have to just change our way of working a little bit, and help them move along up the frame a little bit easier, or better, maybe for them. So we have to just change our way of thinking, I think.
Justin says one of my employees listening in just said that he will put his word salad prompt into AI and ask it to give him back a better prompt to ask it. That's exactly what we recommend, Justin. Uh, there's a question: any benefit to using personas along with perspective?
Mm. I don't think so. I think we've gone beyond the act
Yeah,
like an expert. We just want to know, who's this for, and what kind of who we writing it, from what
yeah.
aspect are we writing it from, and who's going to read it. Those two things are going to be a lot better than act as an expert, I think.
I agree. One more thing that I would just like to take your point on, Gera. So remember back in the day when you would switch organizations, right? So your knowledge transfer sessions were like one of the most critical things that you had to plan for. So it became a confluence page or things like that.
Yeah.
I'm envisioning a time where a robo chat history or a GPT chat history is all what it takes.
Oh, that's
So if you're
dangerous.
leaving, yeah, right. So if you're leaving, we'll just keep a hold of your chat history because that's where all your conversation was. Specifically for the word that Anne said, baby devs.
Mm.
When baby devs are leaving, because it's all in there. It's very dangerous. It's borderlining what you know, no privacy. But I
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Although,
be I wouldn't be
please
surprised
never
if somebody
use
does
never use work AI for private stuff.
that.
Someone's always listening, right? So please, if that's the only thing that you take away today, please take away that.
Nice, nice. Yes, that's it. That's it for today. Thank you everybody for joining. Thank you, Kiara. We are 4 minutes over time, but we've had so much fun. Thank you everybody for participating. We started with somewhere around 55. We've got 43 still on YouTube with us. Thank you so much, folks. Do like and subscribe to the channel if you like this content. There would be much more of this type of streams in the coming. We're doing an assets masterclass. There are 2 more episodes of uh, AI masterclass left, and then of course the Rob and Sajid asking for trouble. Uh, this is a quick shout out. I don't know why it says okay. Why it says okay. I think I took a screenshot at a different one. But that's our next guest, Rebecca, who will be joining with Dr. Hendrik Winkelmann. to talk about building your personal AI team. It was an awesome conversation. Thank you, Kiara, for joining me. Any closing comments, questions?
No, just thanks very much for inviting me on, Sajid. I really enjoyed it. Hopefully, I'm invited back again.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course, definitely. There are so many people saying thank you, so I'm just highlighting them one by one. It was an awesome conversation. Thank you, everybody, once again. I hope you all had fun. If you have questions, please reach out to Kiara or me on LinkedIn, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Have a good rest of the week.
Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.
Dig a little deeper.